Hello, welcome to the Trails Radio Show. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining us this evening. Today, my special guest is actor Mr. Jim MacKrell. Thank you, and join us in a minute. Okay, my first question to you is, how did you get started in the acting business? How did you become an actor?
I became an actor thanks to my father's profession, which was radio. And I was born in Little Rock, and my dad worked for a radio station there called KLRA. And I started going at like 6 and 7 years old with him to the radio station. And several times during live programs they had, I would participate by singing some little song like You Are My Sunshine or something like that. So I was pretty much close to radio all of my life. And I ended up in New Orleans. My dad moved to New Orleans, and I ended up there going to high school in Covington, Louisiana, and working at a station called WARB outside of Covington, and kind of cut my teeth on that. And went on after that to college, and I went to Lamar Tech in Beaumont, Texas, and got a job there at a radio station called KRIC. That eventually led me to Houston to a station KXYZ, where I met my wife Kathy and got married. And to make a long story short, I was brought by Henry Mancini, the great composer, to work for him in Los Angeles. And that was the start of everything, because Henry really encouraged me to go to a workshop and learn about acting, since I said that's what I wanted to do, and hence from there everything went right.
Yeah. I started in radio too, and I'm still in radio, but yeah, radio is interesting. Then I went to theater acting, a theater actor, then voice acting. And
yeah. Well, that's how I did. I started, I got a show for CBS in Los Angeles, and went from there and got representation, and ended up doing a lot of television shows, a lot of game shows, and a lot of movies.
Do you still do radio?
Pardon me? No, I don't. I don't do anything but talk to you.
My next question to you is, what is the most challenging part for you being an actor? What do you find is the most difficult or challenging part?
The most challenging, there are twofold things with being an actor. One of them is you always feel like your last job was your last job, and you probably will never get hired to work again. That's not true, but it is a lifelong anxiety of most television and radio and movie performers. Plus, once you get the job, whether it's a movie or a television show or a commercial or radio, you always feel, or I always felt, very inadequate going in, like this is probably the one thing I've been given that I can't do. And then as I get in the process of doing it, I find out it's not like, it's just like everything else, and I can get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to learn, what you're getting into, and there's always room to learn.
It always looks worse than it is. It always looks like it's a bigger job than you thought it was, and it's something that you can't overcome. And I'm not the only person that thinks like that. Many of my friends and cohorts in Hollywood all felt the same way, that we were given a job and it's usually bigger than we can consume.
But once you get to do it, it's not so bad.
That's right. It's just another job.
Do you have any upcoming projects in acting? Do you have any?
No, I'm in the twilight of my life and career. I still work a lot for Toyota. I do a lot of voiceovers for Toyota. But as far as acting is concerned, or plays or anything like that, I've kind of had to put that all aside.
So you just mainly focus on the voice acting part now?
Yes, and I do whatever on the voice thing I can, but mainly because of technology today, Trey. Mm-hmm. I'm allowed to do it as we are doing it, and I'm at home.
Yeah, technology is a great thing for the business
it's
now.
It's fabulous, just fabulous. For example, I had to record something for Toyota that the editor in California needed this morning. All I did was go into my system that I have called, I don't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. But go in and record. I've got a professional microphone and a professional system. I record it and I send it off by email.
Yeah. Yeah, the technology these days, because back...
Fabulous. It's just fabulous.
Yeah, because back in the old days of, show business, you had to go to their studio, and now you can...
Absolutely. Well, I worked a lot for Toyota, at least for over 20 years. And the old school, and you're absolutely right, in the old way of doing things, I would have to get up, get on an airplane, fly to Orange County, be picked up by my son, spend the time with my family out there over the weekend, go into the studio on Monday, do all of the recording he wanted, then catch a plane back to Houston Monday evening. And that's pretty strict. And one day my son came into the house when he was here in Houston, and he had some packages in his hand, and he said, I'm going to bring you a present. And with it came I can't think of the name, Audacity, the internet program that allows me to record, and a studio-sized microphone and everything. So I've had no problem over the last years sitting right here and doing whatever he needed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. That's how I do my show. I have my own studio.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. My next question to you is, what is your advice to people who want to get into the business? Do you have any advice to people who want to get
Yeah, I do. And unfortunately, the times when I got into it, and I have been doing this for Lord knows, even including radio. I've been doing this for well over 60 years.
Oh, wow.
And if you start counting my high school time and my college radio, it would be closer to 70 years. But at that time, Trey, when we were doing it, or when I was getting into it, there was a passion about being into radio that most of us who got into the business really wanted. We would work for free as long as somebody gave us a job and it was promoting our career as such. Then, of course, at that time, back in the 50s, the pay was very low for radio, nothing like it is now. But we would work under those conditions and build ourselves up, and the method was to go from a small station in Arkansas to a larger station in Texas, and then hopefully get to St. Louis or Boston on your way to New York or Los Angeles. And that was kind of the way we worked. And a lot of us in radio at that time considered ourselves gypsies because we'd work for a station, and when a better offer came along, we were gone.
Yeah. Yeah, the better the job, you're going to the next, a bigger opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody asked me once, Trey, how I planned my career, and I simply told them I did what was next.
Yeah.
Whatever was next offered me, I did it, and did it to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's always opportunities,
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like you said before.
But nowadays, with blogs and programs like yours, you can get really great. Business acumen by doing it where that wasn't the market before. We had to meet a general manager and a program director and get hired. Now people can do it on their own and do it very, very well.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always amazes me when, people my age or younger people, aspire to get into the business,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are going on now that are fascinating that we never thought of before. And the radio has changed totally. It went through a period of one or two companies owning all the stations and wrapping things up. That's quickly going away. And we are involved now with stations not doing as much syndication and hiring more people. And I think that's a very good thing.
Oh, yeah. Especially, independent stations, just their...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, movies as such, not movies, but programming as such was a great way for competition. But when these big companies like Westwood and Clear Channel owned all of the stations, they took with them the need to be really good and competitive because you had no competition. The next station was owned by your company, and it programmed a certain thing. So that's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's a great business to be in, really. It's very...
I think so, too. And communication is so very, very important today. And we seem to be going through a period, Trey, of radio, television, cable, to where an awful lot of people really are just filling time because they don't have the tools to really communicate properly. There was a time when I was in television news when we had to make sure that everything we put on the air was absolutely checked out. Now, you can put rumors on the air.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's crazy, because back then in today's show business, entertainment is just different.
Trey, can you speak up a bit? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said it's crazy because back then, the business was much more thorough. But today, like you said, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mr. MacKrell, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, it's been wonderful talking to you, Trey, and I really want to encourage you to keep it up. You've asked very good questions, and you handled this very well, and I really had a pleasure being with you.
Thank you very much. You have a good day.
Yes, sir. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. And that was actor Mr. Jim MacKrell. Thank you very much for listening. Join us tomorrow when we have 2 interviews for you tomorrow. Join us 4 p.m. at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Well, Daylight Savings Time. When I interview voice actor Mr. Christian Freites. And join us at 5 p.m. Central Time tomorrow when I interview actor Mr. Paul Wong. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless you all.